Hey everyone, ready to dive into something we all deal with. It's figuring out how to handle the flood of information we see every day and really, face facts.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
I was looking at some excerpts you shared from that Facing Facts course on Wikiversity.
Uh-huh.
Even just the title, it really grabs you.
It does, doesn't it? It gets straight to the point. The
Yeah.
course jumps right into why truth is important.
Right.
And not just in some abstract, philosophical way.
Yeah.
It highlights how truth is the foundation of so much.
Okay.
From building bridges that won't crumble to trusting what doctors tell us.
I see. So it's like we get the truth matters, but they really drive it home.
Absolutely.
Like they use the 2021 storming of the U.S. Capitol as a powerful example.
Right.
That whole thing was fueled by a huge lie. And it shows just how much damage falsehoods can do, not just to people one-on-one, but to society as a whole.
Exactly. And one thing I found interesting is how the course breaks down the actual language we use around truth.
Mm.
Like, we toss around words like fact, belief, opinion, even just a casual whatever.
Yeah.
But those words, they have very different meanings, different weights.
It's choosing the right tool for the job.
Precisely. It's like using a scalpel instead of a butter knife. Using the right words brings precision to how we think.
And recognizing those subtle differences can help us sidestep those pointless arguments, too.
For sure.
Ever get halfway through a debate and realize, wait a minute, we're talking about totally different things here.
Oh, way more often than I'd like to admit. The course uses a great visual for this, a Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Imagine one circle is everything we think we know.
Okay.
The other is actual reality.
I'm picturing it.
There's this gap, this overlap, or sometimes a lack of it, that we're constantly trying to make sense of.
It's like we're trying to push those two circles closer, to line up what we perceive with what's really true out there.
Exactly.
And speaking of aligning things,
Yeah.
the course has this system for sorting information that I find incredibly helpful.
Oh, tell me more.
They talk about putting things into 3 buckets: matters of fact, matters of taste, and matters of controversy.
I see. So,
It sounds deceptively simple.
but could you imagine if we actually paused to figure out which bucket we were coming from? Our conversations would be so much clearer. Right.
It's like we could argue all day about pineapple on pizza, which, by the way, a matter of taste, and for the record, absolutely not.
Right.
But the Eiffel Tower's height?
Yeah.
That's a fact. We can look it up. No need to get heated about it.
Exactly. Though even when it seems like we're dealing with straightforward facts,
Yeah.
it's good to remember that our own perception of things, it can be flawed.
Oh, for sure.
The course goes into how our experiences, our biases, even just mistakes in how we observe things can color what we see.
Like that classic example with eyewitnesses, right?
Exactly.
They all saw the same crime, but they remember different details.
It really makes you realize how much our own individual realities, our truths, can be subjective.
So have you ever had one of those situations where your perception of something, you realize later it was inaccurate or incomplete?
Oh, yeah.
And how did that change how you saw the whole situation, or even yourself?
It really makes you think twice,
Yeah.
It's humbling.
It makes you realize how much our own baggage can shape how we see things.
It's true.
But that's where, if I remember correctly, that idea of consilience comes in,
Right.
which the course brings up.
Yeah.
Consilience.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty academic.
It does, doesn't it?
How do we wrap our heads around that one?
Think of it like this. It's about evidence converging,
Okay.
like putting together a jigsaw puzzle.
Right.
Each person's perspective, their experiences, what they've seen, it's like a single puzzle piece.
Okay.
It might not show the whole picture,
Right.
but as we gather more pieces, reliable ones from all different sources,
Yeah.
the bigger picture starts to become clearer.
I see.
That's consilience in action when we get knowledge from different fields, different points of view, and they start to paint a consistent picture of what's real.
So the more we can learn from sources we trust, the closer our own understanding gets to that big, true picture.
Exactly. It's like when you see scientific studies over time, building on each other, getting more refined, and our understanding of something grows.
Makes sense.
That's consilience in action.
But then the course, it throws this curveball at us, emergence.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, that one had me a little lost.
Emergence, it's one of those things. Simple, yet super complex.
Okay.
The basic idea is this. When simple things combine the right way, they can create something totally new, unpredictable,
Okay.
greater than the parts themselves.
So, give me an example. How does something simple become something else just by like interacting.
Okay, think of water.
Water.
On its own, hydrogen is flammable. Oxygen, we breathe it.
Right. Right.
Combine two hydrogens, one oxygen, you get water. Completely different. You'd never know just from hydrogen and oxygen alone that water could exist.
So something new emerged from them coming together that wasn't there before at all.
Exactly. And we see it everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Complex weather systems, how our brains work, even how galaxies form.
Wow.
It reminds us that reality, it's full of surprises and the coolest stuff. Sometimes it happens when we least expect it.
That's a good point, especially when we're talking about facing facts. Like this course, it's reminding us to be open to the unexpected, to embrace what we don't know.
Exactly. But on a more practical level,
Yeah.
the course tackles a phrase we hear a lot,
Yep.
often used to dismiss ideas that are actually well established.
I see where you're going with this.
How many times have you heard, oh, that's just a theory?
All the time. Especially with things like, evolution, climate change, you name it.
Right.
It's like theory has become a synonym for just a guess, a hunch.
Exactly, but in science,
Yeah.
a theory is anything but. It's an explanation for something that's been tested like crazy, backed up by tons of evidence.
Right.
It's the highest level of certainty we have.
So next time someone hits us with the just a theory line,
You'll be ready.
we can set them straight.
Exactly. It's about having the knowledge to see through those rhetorical tricks, those little word games.
Right.
But facing facts. It's not just about arming ourselves with information or definitions.
Okay.
The course digs deeper into how our own minds, how we're wired, and how society is structured. It can sometimes lead us astray.
This is where the tribes idea comes in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And just to be clear, not talking about Coachella here.
No, not this time.
Okay.
The course uses tribes to talk about those groups we align with. Our families, friends, the news we trust, online groups, all of it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
These tribes, they shape how we see the world.
Yeah.
And there's comfort in that, sharing beliefs.
Yeah.
But it can easily become an echo chamber.
And that's dangerous territory.
It is.
So think about your own information tribe. The friends, the experts you follow, even those algorithms, right?
Oh, yeah.
That shape your views. The course argues that these tribes, as comforting as they can be,
Yeah,
they can easily warp our view of reality.
absolutely. So how do we break out of those echo chambers? How do we see things more clearly? That's the tough part, right?
Yeah.
The course says, first, we got to realize those echo chambers are there
Okay.
and that we can all get caught in them.
Right.
Like, it's like you've been wearing those sunglasses, the ones with a color tint.
Yeah.
And then you take them off. Suddenly, the world looks different.
You see things in a new light.
Exactly. Then it's about making the effort to find different points of view.
Okay.
Even the ones that challenge those assumptions we're comfy with. Or maybe especially those.
Which is hard, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
Our gut instinct is to avoid stuff that goes against what we think we know.
It's true.
Like that saying, people don't want new info, they want to be told they're right.
Right.
But that's the opposite of what we should do if we want to get closer to the truth.
Exactly. This course even challenges people listening to do something tough.
What's that?
Go find information that disagrees with something you really believe.
Whoa.
Like a mental workout, right?
Yeah.
The more we practice looking at different views, the stronger we get at thinking critically.
So instead of just taking in stuff our tribe already agrees with, we should be out there looking for the opposite.
Yes.
It's like, don't just read the good reviews of a book. Go find someone who hated it and see why.
Exactly. Because in those different opinions, we might find something valuable that we'd never have seen otherwise.
Makes sense.
Remember, a big part of facing facts is admitting we don't have it all figured out. Yeah.
What we think we know about the world, it's always changing. Always more to learn.
It's less about being right, more about being okay with maybe being wrong.
Yes.
Or at least not as right as we thought. Wow, this has been quite a deep dive.
It has.
We covered so much. What truth even is, how our own biases mess with us. If I'm taking away one thing, it's that facing facts. It's not about arriving somewhere, it's the journey.
Absolutely. And the more tools we've got for that journey, the better.
For sure.
This Facing Facts course, it's given us a way to think critically, to see our own biases, to approach new information with both curiosity and a little healthy skepticism.
You've definitely given us a lot to think about today.
I hope so. So listeners, here's a final thought for you to ponder. If reality is what we all share, how can we use these tools to bridge those gaps that seem to be getting wider in the world? Keep asking those tough questions, everyone, and we'll see you on our next deep dive.